What's good, everybody? It's your boy A-Dubs Picks, and I'm coming back at y'all today with another YouTube video. And in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about one of my dark horses in the Western Conference standings and why I'm buying a lot of stock of this team going into the playoffs. So it's not going to be about the Thunder, the Spurs, the Nuggets. It's going to be about a team that I personally think has been kind of quiet this season, but it's been really, really good if you've been paying attention. That team that we're gonna spend a lot of time on today, and the whole video is about, is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I'm telling you right now, this is my dark horse to make a run in the NBA playoffs this season. So of course I would say honestly this is my third team out west. I would put OKC and San Antonio as 1 and 2, and then number 3. It's kind of been a toss up for me all year. I liked Houston a lot, but they're just not playing good basketball right now. The Lakers are playing their best basketball, but I didn't like them at the beginning. Minnesota's just kind of, like I said, been quietly killing it all season. So for me, I wanted to talk about Minnesota as my dark horse, and it's because for me they check all of the boxes on being real contenders when it comes to the playoffs. Their style of play really fits what it takes to be successful in the playoffs, and I think we've seen that in the past with this Timberwolves team, and I think this season they'll be able to win some series and do what it takes to progress far into this NBA playoffs. We'll start with the numbers first, right? Around 117 of an offensive rating, right around that top 10, and then top 10 on defensive rating as well. So they have a positive net rating of +4. Historically, championship teams are always coming from a top 10 defense and have a good enough offense. And that's exactly what Minnesota is. Really good on the defensive side of the ball, and a top 10 offense in the league, or right there outside of it. So I don't know if they're super flashy, but I think they're a complete basketball team. And when you watch this team, that's what it seems like to me, is that they're complete. They don't necessarily do anything amazing, but they do everything really well. And I think that's what matters comes playoff time. Another reason that I like this Minnesota team so much as well is because of their X factor, right? He's out right now. Anthony Edwards just missed the last 4 or so games. He'll be back soon. But the biggest reason I believe in this team as a whole is because of one person, and that one person is Anthony Edwards, right? He's got an insane usage rate this season, and he's absolutely crushing it. His efficiency is crazy, 30 points a game. It's not like just all-star level stuff from Anthony Edwards. It's superstar production. And then for some reason, Ant gets so much love, and I love watching Ant play. He's one of my favorite players, but he's kind of flying under the radar right there with his team. Like, he's not getting talked about a ton, and the things he's doing is amazing this season. So his game also translates to the playoffs really well. The floor shrinks a ton in playoff basketball. The floor is going to shrink, and you're gonna have game plans changing every single night. You're gonna have teams doing this and that to try to stop certain stuff from another team, and it's just a chess match each and every night. But the things you can't take away from Anthony Edwards is the fact he can attack downhill, he can create his own shot, he can score in isolation, and he's got that factor where he just wants to kill you every time he's on the court, right? He's going to hit those tough shots. He's going to come down the court in crunch time and make the big shot, and he lives for those moments, right? Anthony Edwards is made for playoff basketball, and I think the reason Minnesota can go far is really because of that X factor of Anthony Edwards. So really the game's just going to slow down, right? And when the game slows down, you need someone who can get you a bucket and make winning plays, whether it's pass it to open teammate or create your own shot. Minnesota has that guy in Anthony Edwards. And now we talked about their net ratings and their offensive ratings and stuff, how they're top 10. For me, Minnesota really separates themselves on the defensive end of the floor. Their team is built the right way to defend really well. We have Jaden McDaniels on the perimeter, Rudy Gobert protecting the rim, and then just complete length and physicality across the whole roster, right? So you have elite defenders everywhere that can protect the paint, get it to shooters, and disrupt elite scorers. Anthony Edwards, he's really good defensively as well. He's going to compete, which is huge. At least give me some effort if you're not going to be an elite tier defender, and that's kind of what Anthony Edwards does. So having this elite defense comes playoff time really matters more than anything for me. So I feel like offense can come and go, but defense is going to travel. You're going to show up with the same defensive schemes and the same defensive guys every single night. And if your team is ready to compete, they'll do exactly that, and they'll make the game a tough one for anyone that they go against. So another thing that kind of sucks is, if you draw the Lakers, you get that Luka, Gobert out of the paint. But overall, I just think that is not enough for me to worry about, trying to attack Rudy Gobert. I think he can hold his own, right? Obviously, if you pull him out and put him on the perimeter against some of these other guys, they're gonna kill him, and that's just is what it is. But Finch is good enough to make those defensive adjustments to allow that not to happen as much. So overall, it's just still one of the most reliable defenses in the league, and the way they play defense really translates to the playoffs because once again, that floor shrinks, and that's where Minnesota is going to shine. And also for me, when we flip to their offensive side of the ball, they haven't been great all season on the offensive side of the ball. They've been okay, right? I think their team is really built for playoff basketball because they're not just a run and gun, like three-point shooting team, right? They can win in so many different ways. With Anthony Edwards at the head of the snake, and then you branch out into some of their depth pieces on the offensive end, you don't really have, like, Julius Randle is a secondary option. It has proven to be okay, but that's kind of what their offensive identity is, right? It's just okay. So I feel like they can make games dirty enough on the defensive end to compete on the offensive end, and they can win in multiple ways. They can do it by scoring in the paint. They can do it physically. They can execute in the half court. And once again, I can't stress this enough, the floor shrinks in playoff basketball. It's going to shrink. So executing in the half court is major for every single team come playoff time. And I feel like Minnesota has an edge there because they're really efficient doing it. They can execute in the half court well, and that's where a lot of their points come from. So they don't need everything to go right to win. They can make the games ugly and kind of win in their own way. And that's huge in the playoffs because some nights shots just aren't going to fall, right? And you need something to fall back on, and being able to just do the small things right and execute well while competing on the defensive end is huge for Minnesota. So I think that's perfect. And another thing that, alongside of their elite defense that I'm a huge fan of, I think their offense has enough, to compete come playoff time. And then another reason I like this team, so we look at a trade deadline, right? And we look for teams to make moves to contend. A lot of teams sat on their hands this year. We didn't see a lot of contenders go out and make plays for big people, big, moves, big splashes to contend. And Minnesota kind of did that. They didn't go out and make a big splash for a star, make a big splash for, household name, but they got deeper as the season went on, right? Coming into the year, one of their biggest weaknesses was the point guard spot, and we saw that last year in the playoffs as well. Mike Conley, still a really smart veteran, and they brought him back after they cut him and whatnot. I'm glad he's back on the team, right? But you could just always tell they needed more support at the point guard position. It's what they were missing all of the beginning of the season and in the playoffs last year. So at the deadline, they went out and they made a really, really smart move that I love, and it's proven to be so helpful to them. And then they traded for Ayo Dosunmu. And what that trade does is pretty simple, right? It gives them another reliable ball handler outside of Anthony Edwards. Now they have more playmaking. I was going to compete on the defensive end, give you tons of perimeter defense, and you just get more flexibility all the way around. It really brings in some more depth and takes pressure off of Anthony Edwards. So you have an X factor in Ant, but you can't rely all on his shoulders. You need to have people to be able to take the ball out of his hands and make good plays down the stretch. It doesn't have to be the big shot. It doesn't have to be the step back three. It doesn't have to be 25 points a game, but to have someone that can take the load offensively off of Anthony Edwards and bring in Ayo Dosunmu is just huge. So they didn't really need a star. They just needed some stability at this position, and they got it. And Ayo Dosunmu has been really, really good. And then when you zoom out from there, this team can go, 10 players deep with real contributors. In the playoffs, that matters a lot. So a lot of times rotations get shrunk in the playoffs. You want your best guys on the floor at all times. But when you have depth in a 7-game series and you have to go to war every single night in the Western Conference to even have a chance, you have to go to battle. You got to show up. To have these guys, 9, 10 people deep with real contributors, I think it's huge for Minnesota. You need adjustments. You need guys who can step up. You need different looks. Every night is a battle. And Minnesota, can take that and they can run with it as the playoffs progress. I still don't know if they have an elite true playmaker. That's not really what Ayo does, but the depth does help, and that balances out a lot more than what people think. So huge deal for the Timberwolves at the deadline in order to help them compete, and that's something that I love for them going into the playoffs. And then, another thing that really sticks out to me when I watch this team is it's just they're flexible. And this kind of goes back into that little bit of a spiel we talked about with their offense, but they're hard to game plan for. They can play in different styles. They can get in the paint. They can get downhill. They can score in transition. Defensively, they can make their own adjustments and they can lock in defensively. And then you have Anthony Edwards you can just rely on for any and everything that you need. Anthony Edwards is going to give you that. So flexibility is huge for this team, and that kind of goes into their depth. That kind of goes into their making it ugly. And that's what I think of when I see the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, I mean, when you put it all together, right, they have a top-tier defense. They have their superstar. They have a decent enough offense to win. They have real depth, and they have a playoff style or a brand of basketball that suits the playoffs really, really well. So that's for me what a formula looks like to have success. But why can't they win it, right? What's going to stop them? And it's hard to tell. I just don't know if they're good enough. I just don't know if they have what it takes to compete with some of these other teams in the West, like the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Oklahoma City Thunder, that's always a great series. I think OKC gets them out of there in 6. San Antonio, I don't think you can play Gobert in that series. He can't guard Wemby. Like, what are you going to do to stop Wembanyama? Like, just is a lot that goes into it, but I think they have what it takes to compete. They have the recipe. They have the formula. They just have to execute night in on night out. They're obviously not the favorites. They're not the headline team that everyone's talking about, but they don't need to be, right? Because everything about how they're built, for me, translates to winning in the playoffs. So I don't know if they're the team that everyone's picking, and that's why they're my dark horse, right? I'm picking a team outside of the couple few that everyone's talking about, but I think if you're in the Western Conference, you don't want to see this team. And that's just really what it boils down to is the fact that you do not want to see the Minnesota Timberwolves come playoff time. When it boils down to it, man, I just think the Timberwolves have what it takes to get it done come playoff time. I don't know if they will be able to compete and beat some of these higher end teams. If they make it to the finals, can they beat some of these Eastern Conference Finals teams? It's hard to tell, right? And I'm not going on the record here saying, oh, I got the Timberwolves to win the finals. This is more so just my dark horse pick, a team that I've enjoyed watching all season, and I think they have what it takes to get it done come playoff basketball. So let me know down below if you think I'm tripping. If you think there is a different team that is your dark horse, let me know who you guys have as your dark horse. That's a perfect way to get you guys involved. Let me know down below if you guys have a different dark horse or what you think. If you think the Timberwolves team is just completely trash and I'm wrong, let me know that too. I appreciate you guys for making it this far in the video. If you did like what we talked about today, make sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe, show some love to the channel, man. We're running a giveaway when we get to 100 subscribers. We're about 15 away, so hit that sub button. We'll run the giveaway here on YouTube, and let's get it jumping. I appreciate y'all.